It's not a big deal.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I'm gonna close my door. Yeah, I know it, right? Is it we all have a home studio or a home office or whatever. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna close the door. I got Lucy. Hey, baby. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, my friends. I'm Sid Graff with the Huge Convention, and I'm live with Libby. It's DeLucien, right? Am I saying it correctly?
Okay, DeLucien.
Cool. So, Libby, what part of the country are you in?
Well, that's a great question. I just got home from a 2-month-long trip.
Okay.
So I live in Florida, in South Florida. But over the last 2 months, I've been from Florida. I drove to Oklahoma. I was in Texas. I went to Atlanta, the Georgia area. We have a house up in Georgia, northern Georgia.
Okay.
And then from there, we flew over to California. We just got back last night from 2 months of taking our kids all around the country.
That is cool. So, I mean, from Florida to Texas, did you have to get a passport or maybe an interpreter? Because it's a different country.
It is. We just launched new locations, one in Oklahoma, one in Texas for our home service company. So that's one of the reasons why I was up there, but also visiting family.
Yeah, very cool. What city in Texas did you launch in?
Paris, Texas.
Paris, Texas. That's East Texas, right?
It's northeast Texas.
Okay. Is that close to Tyler?
We're 2 hours north of Tyler, Texas.
Okay, cool.
Because that's where Marvin is.
Yeah. I grew up in Texas, but I grew up 400 miles away in Lubbock, which it might as well be a different country as well. So,
absolutely.
Well, sweet. So you and I haven't had the opportunity to talk to you in about 9 months, maybe 10 months since last time we were at the Standard in Nashville, Tennessee. And so, first of all, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining us. When I went through your bio and I looked a few things up, you're the founder of WootRecruit. We're going to spend a lot of time on that this evening. That's where we're going to focus a lot. But you talked about you launched a new home service business, Organize It. And that's the orange hat. That's the brand, which makes me think of vibrant and crisp. So well done. And then you also have Service Cart, which is online. It helps with online sales for cleaning companies. So hopefully we can touch on everything. But I wanted to start with WootRecruit because you're going to be speaking at the Huge Convention in a breakout session, and you're going to be talking about the hiring process. So
actually, I'm talking about playbooks at Huge. Yeah. I'm talking about playbooks, but they can be applicable to your sales, your hiring, all parts of your life, even your home life. That's how I got to spend 2 months on a 2-month vacation.
Yeah. Are you super organized yourself? Is that like a hardwiring setting for Libby?
It is. Okay. And my home service business isn't new. I've had Organize It for 10 years. Mm-hmm. We started doing professional organizing, and then we expanded into cleaning, residential and commercial cleaning in 2017 or 18. I can't remember. And from there, we just kind of never looked back. And WootRecruit spun out of my need for hiring. I couldn't figure it out. It was taking up all my time. And my organized brain went into hyper mode of creating a process. And now that's what we are. It's a more tech company. And then Service Cart is also from that cleaning need. So I'm very grateful for that home service niche, the cleaning industry. Because without that start of that small little company that didn't have hardly any startup, because I was cleaning houses. Mm-hmm. I've spun off 2 tech companies from that.
That is cool. And WootRecruit, I didn't find numbers on the other one, but you got hundreds of clients around the country, maybe around the world with WootRecruit.
We do around the world. So we've serviced Canada, Australia, a couple of customers in Europe, but primarily it's in the States.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about the power of playbooks, how would you describe a playbook? Is that an SOP for a thing? Or is it bigger than that?
It's bigger than that. It's actually where we create scalability and freedom and profitability in our business. So it's a huge topic. It's a buzzword right now. A lot of people talk about playbooks. Dan talked about it in his book, Buy Back Your Time. Mm-hmm. But I feel that none of it's touched on enough especially for home service to really understand the impact that it can have on your business. But I go further than that. It's like, how do I create it? How do we simulate it? How do we store it? How do we organize it? Because how many of us have created a Google Doc and can never find it? Or it's not accessible to our technicians in the field.
Yeah.
So, and then from organizing it, we go to how do we distribute this on a regular cadence so that it's relevant and it's always in front of our staff.
Ooh. Okay. So once you have a playbook, I mean, that's a great thing. It's like taking yourself out of the loop of 100 questions a day by having your playbook accessible to your team. How do you do that?
Well, how do we create the playbooks?
No, how do you
distribute it?
make it readily accessible at the fingertips of your team so they can operate by that, not by calling Libby?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So it really depends on the level of position. So we have a few levels of playbooks. Again, people are making a playbook. Owners are making them, and they're like 15-page SOPs. And they're made from their perspective, which is the first mistake, right? We have to make them for the person who's going to digest the content, and then they have to be accessible to that person. So I always say there's about 3 levels, right? We have our technician level that's in the field. How do we make it? Like someone could be literally in a master bedroom doing a repair or washing a window on a ladder, and they don't know how to do something. They're not going to read a 15-page SOP.
Right.
So it's really made for what level. And I say there's 3 levels, right? There's the field technician level. There's kind of that entry office or mid office level. And then there's leadership level, management level playbooks. And so they're made for who's digesting it. And then it would depend on the format and also where they're housed or how they're housed, because a sales rep will be digesting it maybe on the phone live in front of a monitor versus a field tech is in somebody's house without a monitor. And I think that's where we fail. A lot of these people talk about playbooks and they're great and I love them. I'm actually in the middle of writing a book about this. So super excited. It's supposed to release Q1 of 2025.
Okay.
More towards the end of Q1. But how you can take this theory, how do you think I took 2 months off?
Yeah. Somebody else has to know how to do it all and not ask you all the questions. So
no.
Bing. Well done.
So I'm super excited. Also, leaving your business for a little while is a great way to see what processes are missing.
Yeah.
It empowers your team to ask different questions, to figure it out. But it also will test your processes. It'll test your systems.
Right on. Hold on. Alicia just joined us and said hello. So I got to say hello, Alicia. Thank you for taking some time to join us. If you just popped in, we've got Libby DeLucien from WootRecruit, Organize It, and Service Cart, and we're digging into the power of playbooks and like documenting, not just documenting your processes, but making it readily available to the people that need it, which is it's one thing. Like you said it, and I thought, oh my God, you've been peeking on my stuff because you said you made a Google sheet and then you can't find it. And I'm like, that's my world. Like I'll make stuff and I go, there it is. And then my leadership team was like, do we have a thing for this? I'm like, yeah, we got, so it's in the thing somewhere and I don't know where it is.
So I love Google Workspace, but I call it the black hole where everything goes to die.
Yeah. So with making playbooks and having them accessible, do you and this is a little bit of a tangent, but are you using any AI to help accelerate that process or make a chatbot?
I have all the prompts you could ever imagine. And so we're going to share that in my session. My session will be a little bit of a workshop. I won't have enough time to deliver a full workshop because a workshop on this is about 90 minutes.
Okay.
So I'll deliver a condensed down version, but I have all of the tools. I have the templates. I have the AI prompts because I'm all about efficiency and working smarter, not harder. But AI is going to only get us a certain part of the way, which is great. And then it's up to us to finish it because AI is not going to help you organize it or distribute it. They're not going to help it make it relevant to your process that you in your company, but they're going to get you about 70 to 80% of the way there.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm really excited that you're going to share, like some of the prompts and the help and the tools to help people get there. Because a lot of people, like myself included, when you're at a convention, you learn something, you're like, oh my God, I got to do this. And then you get stuck on the how. you're in that position where you're having to do everything yourself. Maybe you're newer starting off, and until you can go to the, who not how. But thank you for sharing those tools. That's going to be great. Did you build a custom GPT to help that, or is it individual things? I'm going to get nerdy. I'm sorry. I don't want to derail our conversation.
No, we're just using OpenAI. I mean, I can go that far, but the reality is most people cannot do that.
Okay.
So in our company, we have a custom AI, but there's a lot of caution I caution using AI in front of our employees and our customers, because AI is going to take the accumulation of the information and deliver it back. And a great example is I have an AI for the recruiting side, and we created it to help answer questions about recruiting.
Okay.
But it took a lot of things out of context and gave really bad advice. So we were kind of like, well, we're going to wait on that a little bit. Because it couldn't take like the real life scenarios that we used as an examples. It was pulling that as like almost real information.
Yeah.
And it couldn't decipher between a story, because we were using examples, and actual what you're supposed to do. So it's interesting to see what came out of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to use AI just to help get you even closer.
Yeah.
And you're still going to have to proofread and, copy paste.
Right. Right. It's great for building the framework or getting like the brainstorm or whatever. Like it can take best practices and put it in a template, but you still have to do the work and make it yours. So
yes,
that's cool. Well, one of the things that is mentioned with WootRecruit, and I remember it was like 4 or 5 years ago when we were really stuck and very struggling. And a friend of mine, a business coach, Perry Marshall, he said, you need to learn how to use hiring as a competitive advantage, because you've got turnover, and it's not because you suck as a boss. It's like your industry has turnover. And so if you can hire and train faster than anybody else, you're light years ahead. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. I always thought of, oh my God, we lost somebody. We need to hire somebody tomorrow. And it's like reactive and not proactive. So you talk about how you can scale fast by automating your hiring. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's a great topic. I have a whole nother talk called The Bench, and it's about constantly recruiting and how that actually saves you money versus the on-off theory. But, our industry, because I'm in the home service industry, so I'm not just selling methodology. Like I'm not just selling theory. Sorry. We use this in my own business. And one thing that we have to know as a home service, or just a service industry in general, but especially with home service, we are not in the market of cleaning or window cleaning or power washing. We're not. We're actually in the market of recruiting. And the people that can recruit the best talent the fastest will win. And so this whole theory of it's too expensive, it takes too much time. We are not training our office staff properly, our admin staff to take it seriously. And because one customer can bring me in a few thousand, but one employee can bring me in 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we are in the business of recruiting. And if we can nail that, we will fix all of our other problems. We will fix the quality problem, right? We'll fix the efficiency problem. We'll fix a lot of problems if we can nail this recruiting game.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say this to the people watching or listening. It's like, how many times have you've got a couple of employees, but you got somebody that's really good at the job, the technical aspect of the job, but they're kind of a jerk, or they always have a shitty attitude, and nobody wants to work with them, even though they're the best tech you have, but you feel like you're held hostage to that person because I can't do without them. They're the best one we've got. Nobody else can do it. But if you had, it's like, like Alicia Price just piped in and said, always hiring. If you've got a bench, if you're always recruiting, like it takes the fear away from being held hostage by a technically proficient, but ding-a-ling employee or any other, scary spot. There's so many benefits. I really love if you shared more.
I love this topic because, I get pushback all the time on like, oh, turn it off, turn it down. Oh, let's cancel. Why would I want to always be hiring? And I think that's the post-COVID mindset to our world that a lot of owners are still operating in. And times have changed. Our mindset, along with employees' mindsets, have changed. And we live in a pre-COVID world. It's different. What's important to people is different. And so we need to make sure that we're always recruiting, because you cannot tell me at any time in your business, and this is the question I ask everybody, and no one has ever said, oh, actually, yes. And this is, or I'm sorry, no. They've never told me no. And it's like, is there anyone in your company having quality issues, attendance issues, late, right? Call out. Every single person is an A player. And no one can tell me, yes, you're right. Everyone's an A player. No one has called out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we want to turn off our recruiting because we look at it like extra work instead of it being part of the company.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great perspective. So I'm going to paint a scenario. I'm a small service company. I've got 12 employees, and I've got a good team. I got a good staff. Everybody's solid. Why shouldn't I just turn off the recruiting? Why, like, what am I going to do with the quality candidates that I get? Because I don't have a position open. How do I move forward with that?
So there's a few things you can do. So the likelihood that all 12 are solid is slim to none.
Yeah. Right.
But if you think that's great, or if you have that, like, congratulations, because that's rare and you probably have worked very hard on your culture. But that being said, life happens. And so to always be recruiting is the insurance policy we need to protect our company. And what do I mean by that? We don't know when someone's going to have a car crash, get sick, get pregnant, break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. We don't know those things. And they always happen in batches. You can't ever say just one person quits. It's always three. It's always three. You're like at a deficit. You're like, oh my God, like 4 people just quit. You're like, what the hell? I didn't know we could cuss. So you cussed earlier. So I feel more at home.
Yeah.
So, we always have to be recruiting. And it's one of those things where then the other side of that is, you could easily up your marketing to get more leads, to fill a spot for an absolute rock star that walked in the door. Who wouldn't want to up their marketing? This is the other question I ask. You don't have goals. And I think this is why a lot of us don't hit them. So we created a calculator that you can actually enter in your revenue goals and your current attrition of employees or retention of employees. And it's going to tell you how many interviews you need, how many applicants you need, what show percentage you need to hit your revenue goal, how many offers you need to give. It's going to work all your numbers backwards. Because at WootRecruit, one of the things we are is we're very, very data driven.
Yeah.
We've been collecting the data for home service industries or service industries in general for the last few years. And so we can tell you industry standards, industry norms, what it should be costing. And we created this calculator to help people, anyone, you don't even have to be our customer, help you reach your revenue goals. Because we know how many leads we need or prospects or customers, but people don't do the backwards math to say, well, how many applications would I need to get 4 good hires?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so dynamically important. And most of the time, like you said, we're thinking about, like, I know that my math on the cost to acquire, on, all the stuff with the client, the customer, but we don't treat our employees as our customer. Meaning, like, I have to recruit and train, like, my employees, I serve them, but I need them. And I need to know, how am I going to get them? How am I going to stay full? And to your point about, it comes in threes or whatever. And, it always seems like you're chugging along just fine. And then, somebody goes on vacation and they call and they're like, I'm not coming back. I'm like, what? You were doing great. Life happens and you get surprised. So,
and that's why I said to always be recruiting. It's the insurance policy our company needs. You have to protect the company. So the little bit of time it takes you to interview, people look at it like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste our time. It's not a waste of time. Again, it's the insurance policy we need to protect our company. And my next statement would be, if you had a total rock star walk through the door, you would not hire them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, right.
And just guerrilla marketing, like fake it till you can make it kind of thing. And I think we just get comfortable saying we're going to wait for the leads to come. One of my great friends, and he was one of my partners in WootRecruit, and I bought him out. He had said, this is how you grow uncomfortably.
Hmm.
So as a business owner, you can have the stress of being understaffed and lose money, or you can have the stress of being overstaffed and have to hustle as the owner. And I think that
Yeah.
we get lazy as owners and we kind of get comfortable. We're like, oh, well, we don't have enough work for them. Let's wait.
Hmm.
And business doesn't wait. Business doesn't care. It doesn't have feelings. And if you can get comfortable with being uncomfortably overstaffed, you can grow as fast as you want to grow, as
Wow.
fast as
That,
you can.
yeah. What a great mindset shift. I mean, that's excellent because literally I found myself, it was, a couple of years ago during COVID time hiring was a little bit tighter, but I spoke these words to my team, to other people listening. I said, I would rather go understaffed than sacrifice quality. But what that did was give me an excuse not to staff fully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Patrick said, total fire. You're talking about the toolkit, the toolbox that
Oh, I dropped them
like
in that chat for you. If you want
can
to
I,
give them to our listeners,
yes.
they're just free tools. If you're just starting out, the recruiting toolkit is great. It's just fundamentals, how to make a job ad. It's got some videos in there of me like helping explain certain things, like what kind of application you should. Very basic. The recruiting toolbox is the one that's going to give you your hiring goals. How much revenue? If I want to do 10 million in revenue, this is what I would need in hiring.
Okay.
Based off your current revenue. So one is a little bit more advanced, and the other one is more for beginning, core foundation.
Cool. Oh, I've got both of them in the comments, so they'll be clickable when you go find those. So Patrick, put your money on it. Let's go. Get that toolbox and let's get after it. Patrick, are we going to see you at the huge convention this year? You can stick it in the comments there. Sweet. All right. What else is like a common, like where are people missing the mark just because they're thinking too small when it comes to, first we'll talk about hiring. Then I want you to, please lean into the building a playbook as far as where are people missing out because they think too small.
So I think there's a lot of directions to go, but from my perspective, we service hundreds of home service companies with WootRecruit. And where I see that, Mark, is, and I did it myself, is we put someone in charge of this process. We think we buy something, we think we buy the solution, and we put our office manager or our admin in charge of the recruiting, of the software, of the Indeed account. But we're missing, there's misalignment. I think that's the biggest thing I see right now in business is the misalignment between our office staff and our goals as the founder, visionary, owner, whatever you call yourself, of what we want. Because the office staff is looking at this like an inconvenience. Like, oh my God, I got to do sales. I got to answer the phone. And now they want me to hire again.
Yeah.
Because what we see all the time with WootRecruit is the office will tell us to turn it down, turn it off for a little bit. And the owner's like, why haven't we hired nobody? And so there's a lot of misalignment because they're not aligned with the goals. Like the owner isn't expressing the goals to this person. They're expressing revenue goals, right? Oh, we want to make 100, we want to make $1 million this year. We want to do 10 million. But they're not expressing how important that the recruiting side to get to that goal is. And then they're not also, as the owner, you're just giving this to someone, and recruiting or interviewing is a skill. It is a skill. I want to say that again. It's a skill that is developed over time. And if you hand this off to someone and you don't give them the proper training, they're going to suck. They're going to pick the wrong people. Or, they have to be so in line with your culture and your values and your vision. Yeah. That they would think the person turning down that job would be insane. They have to be the biggest salesperson of that current job or position. And then we also miss the mark because we don't allow enough time in their schedule for recruiting. Yeah. Like we're like, you need to do all this, and that. A great example is like someone out in the field doing estimates. One of the biggest things I see when I do coaching or with the software with WootRecruit is like, well, I'm in the field and I don't have any time to do interviews. Let's just do interviews once a week. But if recruiting is your number one issue, if people is your number one issue, it needs to be your number one focus. Yeah. But as the owner, we need to make sure that our office has that same mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Do you, with your experience in recruiting and hiring and helping so many others, do you have a strong opinion about doing group interviews for technician level jobs versus doing them one-on-one?
So we do stacked interviews at WootRecruit. It's not group, it's different.
Okay.
I don't believe in group because why sell to the whole group if they haven't sold to you first?
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to be sold to first and then I'll sell you. So we practice a model called stacked interviews. It's very efficient. Everything about WootRecruit is to save you time. It's the EXO model. And so it's the same model that Airbnb is made off of and Uber. If you have to grow something, to be a unicorn company, right? And we're helping hundreds of companies reach revenue numbers they've never seen because staffing is not an issue.
Yeah.
But to be that model, that EXO model, you have to leverage something. You have to either leverage an asset or time, right? And so we know that Airbnb, Uber leverages an asset because they're leveraging people's cars and houses. So when I was creating WootRecruit, I was in the field scrubbing a toilet.
Yeah.
I was 8 or 9 months pregnant. I was struggling. I was scared to death because I was trying to figure out how to get myself out of the field.
Yeah.
And I think that innovation happens like in your most difficult moments. And so the EXO model is, well, I have no more time. I'm cleaning all day. I'm trying to run the company. I had employees, but I didn't have enough. And so what I found in the way we recruited or the way we started WootRecruit was we're leveraging the applicant's time. So it's made much differently than an ATS, what most people use, which is an applicant tracking system. Ours is made completely different. And what we're doing is we're leveraging the applicant's time, and it's an engine that the applicants power and go through with no effort whatsoever from the owner or the office.
Well, is that what? And you said use an EXO model, but I'm not familiar with what that means.
So it's a model that to scale a company to a certain million in a certain time frame, it's 100 million in 10 years. Right? It's a model that companies use to scale that fast. It's called an EXO model.
Okay.
And so when I made WootRecruit, I used the model because you have to leverage something.
Yeah.
Right. You have to leverage an asset or time. So we're leveraging the applicant's time in this engine that's powered.
Right. Okay. Can you tell me how that works? How are you leveraging their time but not spending my time?
Because we're using our software. We're using automations. We're using a system that's been built and proven, right? Because every software is nothing but a process. It's been automated.
Yeah.
So we took my process that I created and we automated it. So it's through the automations, it's through the workflows, it's through how we do. It's also within the practices of WootRecruit, like how we're going to ask you to interview, how we're going to ask you to make decisions. We also offer account management, which is a service side to WootRecruit. And so our account managers will also use those practices. We call them recruitment Sherpas. They're going to guide you to the best solution for your company.
Okay.
And through all of these practices and there's 10 key points, and I can't list all 10 of them off, that you need to run that EXO model. So it's the model that we made our company on.
Okay. Okay, cool. That's very cool.
And I will say I scaled WootRecruit to 1 million in 1 year, probably about 1.5 years.
Okay. Nice. And how long have you had WootRecruit?
It started, the original idea I started when I was pregnant with my daughter, and she's 6.
Okay.
I gave a presentation on the process itself. And like I said, my friend was in the audience. He was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. We helped him scale from 1.5 million to 3 million in like 6 months.
What? Okay.
Because he had staff now.
Yeah.
Right. And so from there, we worked on it during COVID because the world was kind of shut down. And we had some of our friends test it to see, like, is this a real thing? Like, is this scalable? So during 2020, during COVID, we were doing some testing. And then it was January of 2021, we launched as an actual product that they could purchase.
Cool. That, by the way, that seems like some pretty intense proving grounds when the labor market was super duper tight.
Well, that's what we said. If it will work during COVID, it'll work anytime.
Yeah.
That was actually our test.
Cool. So how does it, or how much does it increase The sales terminology would be speed to lead. We apply that to like the speed to getting
Yes.
that applicant to an interview or to a conclusion.
I mean, in seconds.
Okay.
Because we're like the Uber of hiring. You can turn it on and have applicants at your door the same day.
Damn. Okay. I like that.
Within minutes. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it also depends on how many we can get in the funnel, like top of funnel.
Yeah.
So within minutes, we call us the Uber of hiring. So
That's cool.
you know, and we use a lot of data to track, you know, how many impressions do they need? Like one of our customers had 120 interviews in the last 5 days.
Wow.
Showed interviews.
You showed up. Yeah, that's a big deal. Hold on,
Yes.
I've got to switch my camera. I froze up.
Oh, you did.
There. Hey, I'm back. I think. Cool. Okay, cool. Well, listen, before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, like, first of all, thanks again. Thanks for joining us. And I'm really excited that you're going to be one of the breakout speakers at the huge convention. And only 21 days from today, by the way.
I know it's already August.
I know. I'm very excited. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Or thank you for being generous and sharing those tools. I stuck them in the comments. You guys, whether live or later, like check them out and use this to model your business. They'll stay in the comments, so they're a clickable link. Thanks for sharing that. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we wrap it up?
That, you know what, whether you're building a playbook or you're working on your recruiting, is that you don't have to be held hostage. So many business owners ask me, like, does it get better, Libby? Like, I'm ready to give up. I'm burnt out. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And it does get better, but we have to go through the suck part of business to get to the other side. Because if we didn't do that, everyone would be successful. Everyone would make it. And my piece of advice is just keep working at it, because it does get better on the other side. And, there's so many factors that play into that, whether you're building playbooks or you're always recruiting. But, if you just keep working at it, and you got to go through the sucky parts because it makes us more resilient and handle the next level of sucky parts that happen because they just keep getting bigger.
It's true.
They just keep
happening, but it's better and it's better and it's better. It's like the level of stress or whatever between little problems and big problems is about the same level of stress.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the dollar amount is. So you might as well go for the big problems. Yes.
So just keep working at it. And my other piece of advice is, none of this is going to go away until you fix yourself. You could have all the playbooks in the world, you could have whatever, but until you fix yourself as an owner and as a founder, and what I mean by that is like mental health, physical health, it's not, and food health. I don't know what we want to call that, but I'm going to call it food health. None of it's going to get easier or better until we really focus on those things. Because to be a great owner, be a great mom, wife, whatever you want to call it, we have to be great to ourselves first.
Yeah, agreed. Very, very sound words of wisdom. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks again. We're going to see you in 3 weeks in Nashville, Tennessee, and I can't wait.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Have a great night, Libby. Thank you.